Hello, everybody. This episode isn't going to be quite as scripted as the other ones have been. Right now, I'm sitting on my couch, talking into this microphone, and I'm just going to kind of speak off the top of my head. Partially, this is because I did not get through the book that I planned to. I should be reading Proust, something that my brother recommended. It's too far away, I can't see the title. But yeah, he loved it, totally recommended it. I sat down and read the first 10 pages, and boy, took all my willpower to keep my eyes open. I don't know how I'm going to get through the rest of it. But yeah, it's been a long time since I've been reading, and I didn't want this, I didn't want this channel just to kind of wither on the vine. So I thought today I'll talk about a book that I read. I read maybe 2 years ago or 3 years ago, but one that really kind of has remained in the back of my mind all this time. It's called Player Piano. The book was written by Kurt Vonnegut, so it's sort of a classic, although I kind of think this book, it's not one of the famous ones. So, but oddly enough, even though it was written way back in 1952, it seems to really speak to one of the issues that at least I see kind of brought up in the news fairly frequently in the past, like 2, 3, 4 years. The book itself, so here's a quick kind of plot summary. The book starts about 10 years after World War III is over. What happened during the war is, massive, kind of a repeat of World War II, I guess. Massive draft, lots of men sent overseas to fight. So you end up with production problems back at home. Who runs the factories when all the workers are, in uniform fighting? So what happened in the book is that, these the managers of these factories managed to figure out how to automate virtually everything. Nearly everything. Like now you're able to run a factory with maybe like 3 people and produce everything, cars and clothing and food and etc. So post-war, what ended up happening is that the government has essentially taken over the economy, and now the producers, the people who have jobs, they become this kind of they become sort of society's new elite now, because these are the only people who, one, they're all super smart. They all understand how. Essentially, I think it comes down to robotics. They all understand how to automate all these many production processes. And I think, if I remember right, I think everyone was like assigned, like, they all became government employees. The government kind of runs the economy now. And so now you have these vast swaths of unemployed people with nothing to do. And I think they just live off essentially, like welfare, which is a lot like what people are talking about now with universal basic income. So, without realizing it, this book is describing what future we expect to come in like 20, 30 years, where, we've built robots to just serve us. And now, since the robots are here and they do things smarter and faster and overall better than people, why would people be hired? So now we're, how everyone today is expecting universal basic income. That's got to be a thing. And that's what this book has essentially stumbled on without any of that language. So then, as the book goes on, I don't want to really spoil it. It's kind of an interesting book. But, there's the plot itself kind of continues into, there's a little bit of intrigue with the main character, Paul, about, his dissatisfaction with the society. But, read the book because it's still pretty good if you like that kind of sci-fi, and I still think you can get something out of it for today's for the debate we're having today. But I will say though, there is something about the book that does not ring true to my human experience. As the book comes to its end, you kind of see, the point that Vonnegut is making is that this kind of society is untenable because, that huge bulk of people that you now have made obsolete and that you're just essentially feeding them and telling them to shut up, they're going to be dissatisfied with that position because I guess what he's saying is the human experience is wanting to strive and to be useful and to do things. And it breaks my heart to say, but I think he's so wrong. I think maybe that was true in 1952. I don't think it's true in 2019. I think there's an enormous number of people that are quite content to sit on their ass all day and just watch TV and do nothing with themselves and just be just a lump existing, consuming oxygen, consuming food so long as it's placed in front of them. I mean, I remember one of the, don't worry, this isn't critical, but one of the scenes in there is when, machines start to break, how people in the book gleefully run to start, repairing them so that way they have something to do. It's about, again, it's about being useful. It's about showing that you have intelligence and that you have the ability to do something. And I just don't see it now. Who had that quote? There's a good quote. Is it from James Lillicks, maybe? That the past is a foreign country. And yeah, maybe that's what I'm seeing here. Someone back in the 50s valued work. And they valued, that they derived personal satisfaction from the value that they could bring to a company, to their family, to society by being productive and doing something. And I think that is just overwhelmingly gone today. So few people, see value in doing something, in having a job. Where, for so many people, the ultimate goal is just to be able to do nothing. So, in that sense, the book is more an artifact, an opinion from a bygone era. But all the same, I'm still amazed that this old book is talking about something that we're still talking about today. The effects of automation, what's it going to do to our society. Me, my opinion, I think our whole debate right now is very overblown. People seem to think like work is going to be obsolete in 30 years, that the robots are going to be running everything. And I would bet anything, 30 years from now, the world, fashion will change and all that, but the world's going to be pretty much the same. People are still going to go to jobs. Robots are going to underperform. We're not going to have androids that look and talk like people who, can lift multiple tons and will, happily serve us and all that. It's not going to happen. I mean, maybe like 500 years from now, sure. It's not happening in like 30 years. So all this UBI debate is moot. But oh well, I guess we'll see. Yeah, all in all, I'd say good book, certainly worth your time reading. Assuming that you kind of like, I would want to call it light sci-fi. It is a sci-fi book, but it's not, it's not, it doesn't science fiction doesn't really permeate the entire story. It's mostly a story about people, really. It's about how they interact in a society different from what we have today. But yeah, with that said, if you read it, leave a comment below. Of course, the whole YouTube like, comment, subscribe, etc., etc. Yeah, that's it. Hopefully next time I'll stop being lazy and I'll force myself to sit down and get through that Proust there. see what my brother really saw in that book. Because, geez, I don't know. It is, man, it is something else. Yeah, that's it, everybody.